The other element in nonverbal communication is voice tone and modulation. So when we talk about voice tone and modulation, we are actually talking about three things. One, volume and variation in volume. Two, the pace at which you talk and the variation in pace. And three is the intonation, that is how you form your words, taking them up and down, therefore modulating them in a way to make it more effective. Let's examine each of these. Volume is the loudness level at which you talk. Two things that you need to take care of as far as volume is concerned. One, balance the loudness level. So talking too softly or too loudly may actually take away the impact of your communication. So if I were to kind of talk somewhere in terms of, if I were to balance the loudness level, that is better. If you're too soft, people sometimes don't hear you, or even if they are able to hear you, they might get the impression that you are non-assertive or uncertain about what you're saying. If you're too loud, well, people definitely hear you, but you may end up conveying a personality which is a little more aggressive. And sometimes it can get monotonous listening to the same level of sound. Therefore, the balance helps. That's one part. But will balance alone help make your communication high impact? Maybe not. So the other thing that you could do is vary your volume. So if you are speaking, keep varying the volume. Sometimes it's on the lower side, sometimes it goes up. The question is, when do you vary it? You would usually vary it when you want to make a point. So let's say you want to communicate something critical at a point in time. Vary the volume. Either drop it or suddenly take it up. When you drop it, the person who's listening to you is automatically drawn to listen to what you were saying and therefore gets engaged. Or when you suddenly raise it up, like I just did, that again attracts the attention of the person and gets them engaged there. The caveat is that when you are varying the volume, if you vary it too much, it gets distracting. So my recommendation would be, do vary the volume, but do it by and by. Don't do it too frequently. That gets negative, that gets distracting. What is the other factor we spoke about in voice tone? Pace. So pace is actually the speed with which you are talking. Now, we've all seen certain newscasters who can probably run a marathon in the time that a person takes to run a 100-meter race. But it takes a lot of effort keeping up with what they're saying. And then there are the other kind of people who, when they're talking, you can actually walk out of your living room, go to the kitchen, make a cup of tea and come back and they'll still be where they were. Now that's very slow. That's very slow-paced speakers. The idea is to balance that too. It doesn't take a genius to figure out by now that most communication is about balance, as we've been saying it all through. So while you will balance the pace at which you are talking, as in the case of volume, it's very important to vary the speed or the pace at which you talk. Again, where do you vary it? You would vary your speed or pace depending on when you want to make an important point. So let's say I'm talking to you right now and we're talking at a particular pace, and then suddenly I drop my pace, which is what I just did while talking to you. It gets your attention focused on what I'm trying to say. So even if you're kind of a little distracted otherwise, varying the pace gets your attention back to what you're saying. And that's how it works. So we've done volume, we've done pace. The third thing is intonation. Now there are times when I take 2-day, 3-day sessions with people, and you're talking literally about 9 hours a day with them. The average attention span of an individual is about 15 minutes. So if you're speaking for 9 hours, two things would happen. Either you'll be talking to a bunch of dozing individuals, Or two, they'll all get together at the end of the day and hammer you so much that you don't get back the next day to bore the hell out of them. The third option is that you use intonation to make what you're saying interesting enough for them to not get bored. So if you notice what I've been doing when I've been talking to you is I've been using intonation. Let's try and take an example. So I could just talk like this. So I could say, well, good morning everybody, and today we are going to be doing a program on high impact communication skills, and this is going to be divided into blah, 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 blah. And if I keep doing this for the next half an hour, it's not going to be very exciting for you. Or I could say it, well, good morning, and what we are going to be doing today is a program on high impact communication skills. Now that becomes a little more impactful than what I was saying earlier, and that's intonation for you. So intonation essentially is how you vary the tone of your voice, how you take it up in some cases and how you take it down in other cases. The up and the down makes it exciting for people, makes it more interesting for them to listen to. The simplest analogy that I could draw is an ECG machine. You know those things that those wires you put next to your heart, and then you have this monitor which kind of tells you whether the heart is beating well or not. When you're alive and kicking, the graph goes like this. It goes up and down. The moment the person is dead, it's a straight line. And you know that the person is no longer there. Communication is like this. As long as your intonation is like up and down, it's good, it's engaging. The moment you're talking at one level, whether it's your speed or the volume or how you're using intonation, it gets boring. So the question is, how do you and I actually take this learning and apply it in our life? What I would suggest, again, as I suggested in a previous session, is invest in a dictaphone. Those are small devices which basically record what you're saying, not too expensive, easy to come by. You can use them without too much of tech training. So get a dictaphone, put the dictaphone in your room, make sure the room is as soundproof as possible. Pick up a book, preferably a novel, read from it. And that's where you could try varying your volume, varying the speed or the pace at which you're talking, and trying out different intonations. Do recordings for about 3 to 5 minutes each, and then play it back to yourself, see how you look. Okay, you may not be able to see how you look because it's a dictaphone, but if you also want to see how you look, you could probably invest in a handy cam, which would also give you the visual. If not possible, that's fine. A dictaphone would at least give you the sound, so you'd be able to make out how your tone is. And I think that should be good enough as a start. Once you get an opportunity to hear how you sound, you would probably be able to make out where are the opportunities to make a difference, and is there a pattern to how you speak which you may perhaps want to change. So it just gives you those many more tools and options that you could change in the way you're communicating using your voice tone. What I'd also like to suggest is once you've done this for a while, the dictaphone thing, you may want to enroll yourself for opportunities where you're speaking in front of other people. It might just be something as simple as speaking within your residential society. You keep having these functions in residential buildings these days. That could be an opportunity. Or you might find an opportunity to speak in the office where you work, making presentations. These are good opportunities where you get to practice your voice tone skills. And finally, I think take feedback. take feedback from people in terms of how they feel about how you're talking. So if you were to take some feedback from people right away, and then perhaps take feedback from the same people a month, 2 months down the line, when you feel that you've put in enough effort in changing the way that you're using your voice tone, that would probably tell you how much improvement you've been able to make, or the progress that you've been able to demonstrate in voice tone. And that feedback would be quite helpful. It's very motivating at times to know that this is a change I was trying to make, and well, people are beginning to recognize the change. So these are a few things that you could start with. As I've been saying, you're welcome to write into me and communicate with me, and share your views, opinions, share possible roadblocks that you might be facing in any aspect of these sessions that we have done, and I'd be happy to help you out. Have a great day.